Champions Cup quarterfinals are in the bag, folks. Got some pretty big old scorelines there with a bit of an arm wrestle in the final game with the all top 14 affair. Competition goes on hold until we get to the semi-finals next month, but we'll go through the quarterfinals pretty quick, wrap them up, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. The first one was the most lopsided in terms of the pure margin, 52-0, all URC affair between Leinster and Glasgow. I did a match reaction to that one the other day, if you want to see it more in detail, but goodness me, what is there to say? That was the hiding of all hidings. Not quite as bad as what Leinster did to Harlequins a week before, but on a similar level. Goodness gracious. Deegan bagged a couple. James Lowe got one. Tommy O'Brien, he looked pretty bloody sharp as well. Out on the wing, he got one. Keenan Ringrose Sheehan. Prendergast pulled the strings really well. Leinster looked very, very hungry. They dominated basically every area of the game. I don't know what else to say. 52-0. 52-0. I mean, it's not a great look for a quarterfinal that it's 52-0, but you can't criticise Leinster for that. Glasgow were obviously without a few big guns. It would have been nice to see Tui Polotu and Hugh Jones back. Xander Fagerson missed out, but goodness me. Geordie Barrett continues to play pretty well for Leinster. He won't want to come back to New Zealand at this rate. He won 3 turnovers, got man of the match. Leinster won a heap of turnovers, 11-5 in this game. Yeah, 8 tries to zip, 7 clean breaks to 3. 50 points, man. Yeah. Leinster are still hunting down that star. There are some who are saying that their road to the final may see them come up against a kind of big French pack, which may be the kind of thing that gets in their way because they are looking very hungry, but they won't be thinking about that just yet. They will still have Northampton to play in a semi-final prior to that, as I said, as we get underway next month. But yeah, Leinster, 52-0. Munster played Bordeaux. That game I watched a bit delayed because it was on a pretty horrendous time for me over here in NZ. And that's a pretty big scoreline as well, 47-29. But I watched it knowing the result, but I still managed to kind of enjoy the watch. Like Munster wouldn't, like they were down 29-3? So they were kind of dead and buried for the entire game, but would always get back into it just enough to make it slightly interesting. Yeah, it was 29-3, and then it was like 29-15. Like 37-15, and then like 40-22. It was always like if Munster score can just get one try closer, then maybe it's game on, but it never quite got to that level. So it's certainly better than 52-0. Yeah, Peno, Luku was playing some incredible rugby. Pete Samu, Ichigari, Lamotte, Bielbiere. Of course, he got on the bloody scoreboard. I mean, Andrew Smith is looking all right for Munster. That's at least one bit of good news, but the fact that they went down, their line-out was awful. Munster's line-out was just not just shaky, it was terrible basically the entire game. It finished at 62%. Which at professional rugby level is not gonna fly. So yeah, like Bordeaux's was at 92%. Yellow cards, there were 4 of them in this game. There was a red card because Kazoo got a second yellow, but yeah, it's a pretty lopsided scoreline as well. Bordeaux are looking the business. There was a few times when Munster, got them, so there's still some chinks in the armour for Bordeaux, but when you're 29-3 up and can kind of keep your opponent at arm's length for virtually the entire game, it's pretty encouraging for them. So, yeah, turnovers conceded in this game finish 19-5. That's Munster having 19. And a lot of those will be lineouts. But, again, you can't be doing that and expect to go to the next round. I mean, the penalty count for Bordeaux is not great. They conceded 14 penalties. The penalty counts generally this weekend were pretty high. So that'll, as I said, there's chinks in the Bordeaux armour, but yeah, they still look a pretty good side. Northampton and Castres. I only watched the highlights of this one, I will admit. 51 points to 16. That is a similar scoreline to the Leinster scoreline. At least Castres got some points, though. Freeman gets another one. That guy is scoring tries for fun. Langdon, Coles, Furbank, Pollock bagged a couple. Pearson, Fernandez got all the points for Castres. A try, 3 penalties, and a conversion for 16 points. But like Northampton opened the scoring pretty early. Castres hit back with a penalty. Nakarawa got himself yellow carded. Northampton, I mean, they were in a contest at half-time, but were just able to pull it away. There's been a bit of talking about Henry Pollock's showboating. It's one word that's been used when he scores his tries. Kind of takes a second, kind of rugby 7 style to put the ball down. Is he right? Is he wrong to do that? It's out of the ordinary. It's not that bad a thing in rugby to see guys doing something out of the ordinary, but if it ever blows up in his face, he will look silly. If he's on my team, I'm probably screaming at him just to put the bloody thing down. But, yeah, he's fine as long as it doesn't ever... I mean, what was that game? Freddie Burns, you know, when he was just kind of cantering in and... Was he touching the logo on his jersey? And then it was a halfback came behind him and smacked the ball out of his hands. Like, you can do it, but it's just a slightly level of added risk to that one. You also had triple yellow card action in this game with 3 guys getting yellow carded at the same time. So seems like it was a pretty bonkers one, but never in doubt come the second half. It seems like Castres, despite that scoreline, actually, you know, gave a good showing, at least in the first half when it was like, 20 points to 13? But yeah, tough ask for when they go over to Leinster in a month's time, but they've scored 50 points in this game. And then the final one, Toulon against Toulouse. That's got to be your game of the round, because that was a close game. It was raining, and there was only 2 tries. It's the battle of the boots between Ramos and Jaminet. Ramos's boot was going a bit missing because he missed several kicks in this game, but I still feel like Toulouse are pretty good value for their win, because if Ramos kicks his goals and those 2 tries they had chalked off got scored, then this game's probably not even close. Grau had one as he kind of lost control of it over the goal line, and then, I mean, Marchand's one's not as game-defining because Marchand had one chalked off and then they went and scored through Willis a moment later anyway. But, yeah, Ramos certainly left some points out there, which is unusual for him. But 21 points to 18, it was all locked up with a few minutes to go. That's probably what a Champions Cup quarterfinal should look like. But Ramos, after missing one a minute earlier, gets the next one to win the game. So, yeah, rainy weather, cracking atmosphere, a few drop balls. The penalty count's again pretty high, but the tackle percentages also really high. Villiers will be a bit disappointed because when Saran was in the bin, he had a knock on, which was a bit costly, and then late towards the end of the game, he can't handle a high ball, which leads to him getting swamped by Toulouse defenders and then conceding a penalty. They were at times pretty relentless. Like for the Archie try, during the yellow card, yeah, that's when Toulouse were really looking like Toulouse. But tackle percentages, 91 by Toulon is pretty good. 94 by Toulouse is just even better. So, yeah, yellow cards each way. Bai got one for kind of landing on the leg of Priso at the breakdown, but 21 points to 18. The only away win, the only close game. And Toulouse will be taking on Bordeaux next month in their Champions Cup semi-final. So, yeah, it would have been nicer for the games to be a bit closer. But like I mentioned, Munster kept pushing back despite the fact that they were probably beaten within the first kind of half an hour of that game. But they didn't give up. They didn't get nilled. Sorry, Glasgow. And, yeah, Castres gave it a good crack in the first half, but couldn't quite manage it. Glasgow's ones, yeah, it sucks to get nilled. But, yeah, the final game was certainly a proper arm wrestle. We'll see how things go in the semis. Leinster, I think, are going to be massive favourites for their one. Bordeaux and Toulouse will likely be predicted to be a fair bit closer. But you guys let us know your thoughts. What did you think of the Champions Cup quarterfinals? Is it going to be Leinster and Toulouse? Is it going to be Leinster in Bordeaux? Or can you see Northampton just putting a cat among the pigeons and getting a massive upset over in Dublin? You guys let us know your thoughts, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.